As Israel escalates its US-backed war on Gaza, the rulers of this country and their media mouthpieces want you to believe that history started 2 weeks ago when Hamas launched its brutal attack on Israel. Or they want you to think that this is just some age-old religious conflict that no one can understand. So let's pull the lens back and look at the real history of the state of Israel and why every US president has backed its crimes for decades. Israel, a colonial project since the beginning. For many centuries, Jews in Europe were viciously oppressed. This culminated in the Holocaust, the systematic extermination of 6 million Jewish people by Hitler and the Nazis during World War II. Britain, the US, and other capitalist powers did little to stop this crime. But Britain did support the founding of Israel as a Jewish state. Why? Because they wanted a loyal colonial outpost to serve their interests in the Middle East. This wasn't even hidden. The main founder of the Zionist movement for a Jewish state, Theodor Herzl, openly appealed to the European powers on this basis. He said, "I must believe that here in England, the idea of Zionism, which is a colonial idea, should be easily and quickly understood in its true and most modern form." The Zionists insisted that Palestine was a land without people for a people without a land. There was just one problem. The Palestinian people were already there. Israel, a country founded on terrorist ethnic cleansing. From 1947 to 1949, the Zionists unleashed a wave of terrorist violence and mass expulsions of Palestinians. This is known as the Nakba, the Arabic word for catastrophe. During the Nakba, almost 1 million Palestinians were forced from their land. Many were raped, tortured, and killed. About 500 villages were destroyed. This is how the state of Israel was built. Jewish settlers breaking into and stealing Palestinian homes. Jewish towns built on the ashes of Palestinian villages. This is genocide, and it is not ancient history. It frames the daily life of every Palestinian, and it is continuing today. Israel's crimes, made in the USA. After World War II, the US became the dominant imperialist power in the world and moved to control the Middle East. Over the last 60 years, the US has developed their special relationship with Israel, giving it billions of dollars in military aid and other funding, way more than any other country. In exchange, Israel acts as an enforcer of US imperialist interests in the Middle East and beyond. Joe Biden said this in 1986.
Look at the Middle East. I think it's about time we stop, those of us who support, as most of us do, Israel in this body, for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
Israel plays an essential role for U.S. imperialism in the Middle East and does the U.S.'s dirty work all over the world. Israel has backed death squads in Guatemala, trained torturers in Iran, supplied arms to Argentinian fascists in apartheid South Africa. What does any of this have to do with Israel's claim that it's protecting and defending the Jewish people? Absolutely nothing. But Israel's support for these reactionary and fascist forces around the world was of great use to the imperialist United States. It helped crush forces who were challenging U.S. interests, while enabling the U.S. to keep much of the blood off their hands directly. Let's be clear. There is no way that Israel could slaughter children for decades, attack neighboring countries, and build a 21st century apartheid state without the military, economic, and political support it gets from the U.S.